Our first speaker is Bob Daniels, Senior Vice President, International and Deepwater Exploration at Anadarko Petroleum Corporation, one of the world's largest independent oil and gas exploration and production companies. He took on this role in July 2012. Bob joined Anadarko in 1985 and has served in positions of increasing responsibility, including key positions within the exploration group, including geologic supervisor for Algeria and manager of geology for Algeria Exploration. He was promoted to the position of Vice President Canada in 2001 and returned to Houston to take on the role of Senior Vice President Exploration and Production in May of 2004. In August of 2006, he assumed the role of Senior Vice President Worldwide Exploration and has assumed his present role as Senior Vice President International and Deepwater Exploration in July of 2012. Mr. Daniels holds a Master of Science degree in Petroleum Geology from the Colorado School of Mines and a bachelor's degree in Economics from the Colorado College. He is also a graduate of the Harvard Business School Advanced Management Program. It's a pleasure to welcome Bob Daniels to New Zealand and to this podium. Bob, please.
Well, thank you, Kevin. It's a pleasure and an honor to be a guest here in New Zealand and tell you about Anadarko and to discuss how New Zealand fits Anadarko's missions, values, and core competencies. The title of my talk today is New Zealand and Anadarko's Worldwide Portfolio, and we're going to start with a little bit different perspective on that. When you really think about Anadarko's portfolio, it's important to understand who Anadarko is, how we approach decision making, and what's important to us, and then it becomes obvious why New Zealand would fit into that portfolio. Before we begin today, I'm going to address this disclaimer up front. I'll be making some forward-looking statements and probably using some resource ranges during today's talk. So I invite you to review our disclosures on these matters on our website and our latest 10-K filing. There's no better place to start when talking about Anadarko than with our mission and values. We believe energy is fundamental to human existence, and Anadarko's entire reason for being is to find it and produce it safely for the benefit of our evolving world. We go about our work with strict adherence to a set of core values that are as important here in New Zealand as anywhere else in the world. Integrity and trust. We recognize operating with integrity is essential in earning the trust of stakeholders wherever we operate. Servant leadership. Understanding the need to place high importance on the success of others, sometimes above our own. People and passion, two critical elements to our business, without which success is rare. Commercial focus, ensuring our operations are sustainable and hold significant benefit for host countries. And open communication, a big part of the reason I'm here today. We directly employ about 5,300 people around the world, including our office in Wellington, which opened a couple years ago. We do three things very well: unconventional development and operations of oil and gas onshore, deepwater exploration globally, and project management of the development of our exploration success. These are our core skill sets, and we strive to play to our skills as a company. In terms of deep water, the reason we do it well is our people and their passion for excellence. We have a tremendous team of engineers, operations, logistics folks, vendors, and contractors with a wealth of experience in the areas that we operate. Our explorers like working at Anadarko because of the opportunities to test their ideas, career challenges, diverse settings in which we operate, and most importantly, our focus on commitment to safety and the environment, and finding energy so important for the world's well-being. Safety is a culture, it's a mindset, and it's non-negotiable. From our board of directors all the way to our junior field operators, safety is in Anadarko's culture. We are proud of our company's safety record. That again has its roots in our core values. Caring for one another, to make sure we all go home safely at the end of each day. We empower every one of our employees and contractors with stop work authority at any time if something appears unsafe. This focus is essential when you have a company of our scale with operations around the world. This attention to safety also plays right into our project management expertise. It's essential to maintain focus on safety when you're working with large-scale projects such as spars, FPSOs, semi-submersible platforms, and water depths that exceed 2,400 meters. Anadarko is an industry leader in terms of our ability to discover large fields and then to develop them on time and on budget. If you look at the upper right of this slide, this is an independent assessment of the industry and how well they can bring forward projects on time and on budget. And Anadarko has consistently been rated one of the better companies, one of the best companies in the industry in that metric. And that takes into account the safety of our people on the projects that we're working also. The majority of our producing assets and reserves are located in the United States. Unconventional resources onshore, the shales, the tight reservoirs, the coal bed methane plays, and then the deepwater resources in the Gulf of Mexico. And also included in that would be Arctic work in Alaska. We also have significant and growing international business with significant producing properties in Algeria, Ghana, China, and soon Mozambique in East Africa, which I will talk more about in a few minutes. And we are always looking towards the future. Where will our new focus areas be in 2014 and 2015 and beyond? This is where Kenya, New Zealand, South Africa, Deepwater China, and Colombia come in. Some of these will become our future. Anytime we begin exploring an area, we go through a rigorous multi-year process before we ever plan to move a drill ship to location to drill our first well. We generally seek opportunities early in the process before many of the basins catch the attention of other operators so that we become a trusted partner of the host country and have room and opportunities to grow and expand. We look to establish a relationship early that also helps to reduce the uncertainty by securing a more stable and secure fiscal, regulatory, and political environment. We take actions to reduce the financial risk of exploration by gathering as much data as possible to get a clear picture of the subsurface. In New Zealand, this also included extensive analysis of the ocean currents, climate, cultural considerations, as well as active stakeholder engagement that began several years ago. All of these decisions are based on rigorous risk-reward analysis, taking into account not only the below-ground risk, but also above-ground risks, such as fiscal terms, regulatory regime, transparency, corruption, or lack thereof. This risk-reward analysis has led us to New Zealand. I want to spend some time talking about two areas that could prove analogous to New Zealand in terms of how we've approached them. These would be Ghana and Mozambique. Anadarko was part of the play-opening discoveries in both of these areas, with the Mahogany discovery offshore Ghana and the Windjammer discovery offshore Mozambique, both drilled by Anadarko. These are both good examples of the previous slide where I mentioned our desire to acquire a position early and leverage success to grow after a rigorous risk-reward assessment that is continuously updated. Let's talk about Ghana first. As I mentioned, we were the operator of the first discovery and appraisal well at the Mahogany discovery in 2007. We and our partners drilled numerous additional appraisal and discovery wells throughout the block and the adjacent block through the following years. 3.5 years from discovery, our partnership brought on first oil from Jubilee in 1,500 meters of water offshore West Africa. Today, we're producing more than 110,000 barrels of oil per day from the Jubilee field, with future phases of development to the east. Additionally, in what we call the 10 complex to the west, we've drilled a number of discoveries and successful appraisal wells and are currently moving this western block toward development. These are large projects. To give you an idea of the scale of deepwater work, this is our FPSO in Ghana. Laid on its end, it's taller than the Sky Tower here in Auckland. It's an enormous structure that supported thousands of jobs during construction and refurbishment and continues to support thousands of jobs either directly or indirectly. Excuse me. Our model, get ahead of industry, work closely and continuously with host governments, regulators, NOCs, and stakeholders for understanding and alignment worked very well here. In Mozambique, we have a similar story on a larger scale. In 2010, Anadarko opened this massive natural gas play, and by massive, I mean the discoveries we've made have the potential to elevate Mozambique, a developing country with no current LNG exports and minimal hydrocarbon production, to become potentially to become the world's third largest exporter of LNG, behind only Qatar and Australia. This is a phenomenal success story that is often called a transformational opportunity for Mozambique and East Africa. We discovered two very large natural gas complexes at Prosperidad and Golfinho Atum, which combined hold an estimated 35 to 65 plus trillion cubic feet of natural gas resources. Just last week, we announced another discovery at the Orca well adjacent to Prosperidad. In order to develop these resources, we'll need to construct an onshore LNG park. During the construction phase, we expect to see more than 10,000 contractors working on site and creating additional opportunities through induced employment. The onshore liquefaction facilities will build in a phased fashion, beginning with 4 LNG trains. 2 will be utilized by the operator of an adjacent block, and 2 will be utilized by our operations. We've awarded competitive feed contracts for this work and expect to achieve reserve certification later this year. Our entire focus is on safely reaching our goal of first cargoes in 2018. There's a lot of work to be done between now and then, which is why it is vital to us in Mozambique and anywhere we operate to have good alignment with our partners and the government of our host countries. Again, this is a perfect example of identifying the opportunity early, collaborating and communicating continuously with all of the stakeholders involved to ensure understanding and alignment as we develop this transformational resource. With that background, it should be fairly clear how New Zealand fits our strategy. We're excited about the opportunities we've identified in New Zealand. We've been here for a number of years already, going back even before 2010. Since arrival, our focus has been on working with all the stakeholders to gain that understanding and alignment so important. Starting this year, we expect to begin testing at least one of the prospects in Caravel in the Canterbury Basin and one prospect at Romney in the Deepwater Taranaki Basin. To do this work, we're bringing the Noble Bob Douglas, a new build state-of-the-art dynamically positioned drill ship, which is a lot of fancy words to mean we're bringing the top of the line here in terms of technology and operating capacity. The drilling window is rather limited in offshore New Zealand because of the weather conditions, so we'll likely begin this program in late November, early December of this year, and conclude by mid-2014. And this is how New Zealand has become a part of our global portfolio, a frontier area that plays to our values and skill sets with a risk-reward profile that encourages risk investment. Anadarko is a rare company in regards to the amount of investment we make each year on exploration. We expect to invest over $1 billion this year, and the majority of that is on drilling deepwater exploration wells. The reason this is such a big part of our business is because it's something we do very well. We're among the most active, as I showed you at the beginning of the presentation, and we're also among the most successful. Over the last 5 years, about 70% of our deepwater exploration and appraisal wells have found commercial quantities of hydrocarbons, compared to an industry average of less than 50%. Exploration is very important for the world's energy future. It's something we're committed to, and it's something we do very well. And again, it's something we strive to do as safely as possible and in a manner that respects and protects the environment. We recognize how important that is, especially in a country as beautiful as New Zealand. And as I open today's talk, I'll close it by saying we are honored to be a guest here, and we look forward to a prosperous and mutually beneficial partnership. Thank you very much.